Harry's wife. I would like to get my father back. What news is this? Has King Charles been kidnapped by some umpa-lumpers and taken away somewhere, and Harry is now launching some kind of rescue mission to get his father back? Could it be that he needs to engage in some kind of hostage exchange? Or maybe some beads and necklaces will do the job in order to secure the return of the monarch. Well, no. As you're aware, Harry has undertaken an interview with Anderson Cooper for 60 minutes, and we saw a 1-minute teaser trailer for that, which I have analysed in Silence Becomes Betrayal, analysing what Harry had to say in the teaser trailer to help you understand what's going through his mind other than air. But there also is a further interview that's going to be shown on this side of the pond. So to bookend the publication of Spare, there is the American interview and a British interview. The British interview is taking place with Tom Bradby, who apparently has become a friend to both William, although I doubt that's the case anymore, and Harry. Unfortunately, much in the way that Anderson Cooper is likely to demonstrate all of the forensic ability of a poached egg, Tom Bradby is likely to go down that route also. Naturally, many of you will be thinking, if only we had somebody that would ask the key questions, that would point out the hypocrisy, the contradictions, the shitty behaviour, and put old Ginger Bollocks on the spot. That might actually cause him to start to realise precisely what's been going on, what he's involved with, and how he has been behaving. But unfortunately, of course, he is still so much under the control of his wife, it wouldn't be a surprise to learn that behind Cooper and behind Bradby, Harry's wife was stood there with cue cards to ensure that Harry stayed on script. The problem is that the paranoia of the gruesome twosome, which starts generated by her because of her narcissistic paranoia, and then is fed into Harry, causing him to distrust the media, causing him to distrust his family, causing him to distrust the public, as a consequence of the whispered into his ear repeatedly by his wife, who retains an iron grip upon him. It means that all he is ever going to do, and of course guided by her and PR advisors, is to ensure that the only people that would be allowed to present the interview, to be allowed to have it, to secure it, would be those that would adopt the Oprah school of journalism, namely, let me talk, only ask questions which are going to allow me to give you the answers that I want to appear, no difficult questions whatsoever. This isn't an interview, this is effectively a party political broadcast on behalf of the Sussex House. Therefore, both interviews aren't going to provide us with anything close to a forensic examination of Ginger Bollocks. Although, I dare say, examining his ginger bollocks would prove more interesting than listening to the nonsense that's going to come out of his cake whole. But it will, of course, enable us to understand just how much his wife's control impacts upon him, how much he's been infected, and the innate resentment and argumentativeness and anger that sits with him, his own victim mentality, and how that has been manipulated by his wife. What's also interesting in the two short clips that have been shown, the 60 minutes one and the one from ITV, is that Harry just does not look happy at all. He is set to send, not to receive, and he is set to send misery, whining, and victimhood. The ITV clip is only about 20 seconds long, but it does contain a number of interesting comments from him. The first is, he states, I would like to get my father back. I would like to have my brother back. A statement of intent, and would appear to be perhaps some form of olive branch. But there's no contrition whatsoever demonstrated by Harry when he says this. There's blame on both sides. There's missteps on both sides. We've all said and done things that I think we all regret, and now is the time for us to put that behind us and come together as a family again. There's none of that. It's basically, I want my father back, I want my brother back, but it has to be on the terms that my wife has told me that I must issue. It's almost bombastic the way that he says it. It's almost like somebody saying, you've stolen my father and my brother and I want them back. And this is your last chance to provide them to me before I go all Schwarzenegger on you. Uzi 9mm! There's no warmth that comes from Harry when he says this, no earnestness in terms of suggesting that there is a way forward, but almost that sense of entitlement that he has had come to the fore as a consequence of the erosion of his own emotional empathy. You might think, hearing those words, oh good, there's some form of reconciliation that might be achieved, but there isn't. It's basically the noises of a petulant boy saying, I want my football back. I want my Xbox back. You're a big meanie parent taking them away from me and making me sit on the naughty step. So anybody that might think that this is a step in the right direction, you'd be wrong, and it's demonstrative of how low his emotional empathy is for his family and the infection that has taken place within his mind as a consequence of the grip of the spider upon him. He then continues, they've shown absolutely no willingness to reconcile. They feel that it's somehow better to keep us as the villains. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The crybaby victim mentality at the fore. And you can imagine that over tea and toast in the Sussex household, or whatever it is they do, that they'll be sat there whining about, they've made us villains, Harry. Oh, yes, my little Liebling. Yes, I realise this. Time and time again, he's told by her that we are the victims in all of this, Harry. They are the instigators of the problem, and he believes it. Instead of asking himself, why have they not shown any willingness to reconcile? Could it be, Harry, because you behaved like an utter bell end, and your wife's behaviour has caused the other members of your family to become sick to the back teeth of her? Might it be that nobody wants to talk to you because you turn up wired up at events? Could it be nobody wants to talk to you because you're the one that leaks information to the likes of the improbably named plastic-faced Omid Scobie? Of course, he has lost the ability to look at himself and realise, actually, I've been creating these problems. Or even to think, well, they've caused some problems, but hang on a second, so have I. Why don't I start by pointing out that, hey guys, fucked up a bit here, so can we have a chat and kind of clear the air? I realise I've made some mistakes. Rather than, of course, turning up in the manner of Harry's wife of going, you've all made mistakes. You should apologise to me before I come to the coronation. He's become infected with his wife's mindset, whereby it's all about the problems of other people. And like a petulant child folding his arms, why should I apologise? I've not done anything wrong. They're the ones that haven't shown any willingness to reconcile. Hardly an adult approach. He doesn't ask himself why the royal family, and this is as a consequence of him not being that bright, and also the grip of his wife upon him, that he doesn't think to himself, hang on a second, why are they keeping us as villains? Could there be a solid reason for this? Given the fact that Harry apparently has had lots of therapy and is involved in Better Up and all of these wanky organisations which result in one having a good look at oneself, it doesn't appear to have actually worked or gone anywhere. Instead, he needs to sit down and wonder, could there be a good reason why they're treating me like this? And actually realise that there is, that they've had enough of the betrayal, enough of the leaks, enough of the snide comments, enough of the self-obsessed behaviour, enough of the selfishness. And that's why there's no willingness to reconcile, because of the behaviour of him and his wife. He goes on and states, I want a family, not an institution. Well, tough tits, ginger boy. You were born into an institution. If you don't want to be an institution, then you should have said as such and exited on appropriate terms without behaving like a chimp in a cage flinging shit around. Instead, what you did, driven, of course, again by your own innate selfishness and that which is cultivated by your wife, you said, Can we have all of the perks but none of the responsibilities, please? To which, surprisingly, the Queen didn't go, yeah, absolutely you can. Yes, Harry, by all means, have shitloads of cash and titles, but you don't have to do anything for it. That'll really wash with the public. You fucking numbskull. The fact is that if he and his wife had said, look, we want to go private, and we recognise that means we can't be supported any longer, and that we can't merchandise our titles, etc., but we want to pursue other opportunities, may we do this? There will have been sadness and reluctance, but nevertheless, they probably would have said, that's okay, you can go and do that, but understand, you're not getting any perks, you're not getting any privileges, you're much-loved members of our family, and you're always welcome to visit, but you can't use your titles, you can't use any information about who you are in order to leverage that. But instead, driven, of course, by the typical behaviour of a narcissist, the cake must be had and eaten. The fact is that if he wanted a family and institution, he could have achieved that. But now it's too late. Why? Because of the manner in which they've both behaved, the family is saying, well, you've shat all over the institution that you were born into. And it's not like this has been news to you, Harry. It's not like you've suddenly got to 7 years old and thought, oh, hang on a second, I want out of an institution. You were in it for years, 35 or so years, and you embraced all of that. Indeed, you were a functioning member of it. Sure, it shielded you. Sure, it protected you. But you did function, and you were well liked by people as your consequence of your role within this institution. And you had both family and institution together. And that was working. But guess why it hasn't worked? Because of your wife. Because she's put ideas in the sawdust in between your ears. Polluting ideas, which has caused you to go at it in a cockeyed manner. So rather than back out of it and just be private, you wanted the best of both worlds. Because she wants the best of both worlds. Because she wants to have her cake and eat it. And look where it's got you now, matey boy. Again, bleating, I want a family, not an institution, is, first of all, insulting to the fact that he was born into an institution. Sure, he didn't choose to be that way, but nobody chooses, for instance, their parents. They're just handed to us all. We have to deal with that. And he was born into an institution, with all the privileges associated with that. And ultimately, if he didn't want that, he could walk away from it, but he didn't want to. He wanted institution light. He wanted privileges, but no responsibilities. He then also says it never needed to be this way. Indeed, it didn't. But guess who caused it? You and your wife. But again, blinded by his own emotional thinking and the handling of his captor, he can't see it and is driven into always believing that the enemy is his family, when in fact, he's sleeping with the enemy. Or perhaps, sometimes, being put in the spare room or the chicken coop. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.